What's up? Friday. Well, here we are. Another great week, and I hope you're doing well. And life is continuing. Hello, Brad White. How are you? Dave Sullivan, Transendo, good to see you. Jamma, good to see you. Shoots par. Hope that's always the case. Donna Bell, hello. And Michael, cheers to everyone. Good day for tea. I was out, hopefully for the last time this year, vacuuming up leaves. And so going to get the snow blower out this weekend. Looks like we may have a white Halloween, but any case. So how is everyone? Sarah, good to see you. Russell, hello. I love Beethoven, good to see you. Sammy, greetings. Lori, good to see you. Debbie, Jamie, and everyone else. Thank you to all the moderators. And tonight, y'all really need to tune in to the Friday Night Live show. Got a gentleman, his name is Chance, and we're going to be talking about some interesting things. And odd how sometimes the symmetry works. You know, I think many times about time that most think of time as linear, and, you know, the debates of the paradoxes that you can create if you can go back in time. You know, I often wonder if time is just more than one dimensional. I often think about if we exist in a three-dimensional perceived plane of existence, we know through the Hermetic teachings that there is 8, possibly more. I cannot help but not think that as one advances into each plane of existence, that if time is transmuted as well, it would seem like time would be until you reach a plane, as the book in Edidorfa, which is Aphrodite's backwards, said that the perfect place where they all exist. And if you haven't read that book, I've got the PDF. Be more than happy to send it to you. Fascinating read. You'll find out that there is more relevance in that book. Anyway, I digress. That where energy is at perfect peace is nothingness. And nothingness is that place where there is no thought. There's no vibration. Now, it's above the 7 principles, but it's the all. Getting back to my point. So why would time be on a singular plane? Wouldn't time then exist in 3 dimensions as well? You know, the movie Interstellar dealt with this concept that time, as you go through dimensions, becomes dimensional as well. So hypothetically, you could be in the 5th dimension and have 5th dimension time, something that we can't even conceive of yet. But obviously, if I can speak it, then it can exist. Now, I don't know how that works. Something says to me, it's beyond our comprehension, but imagine self, you, being in 5 dimensions at the same time. imagine beings that are fifth dimensional beings. I mean, so time would no longer be linear. It would be on the fifth dimension. It would be fifth dimensional. So I would postulate. And it gets to the topic of, we're going to be doing today. Are we delusional? So, yeah. So make sure to tune in tonight, because there's going to be a curve. I'm not going to talk about it. Chance will bring it up, but very, very odd. That's all I can say. So anyway, hey, Brian, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Deborah, good to see you. Hello, Patrick. Good to see you, my friend. D-Truth, Bear, Grown, good to see you. Squeaky Toy Records. I love that. Is that a record shop, by the way? Let me know. It sounds pretty cool. I really like that. Brian Parker, good to see you. So, think about that. I do. I think about it all the time. And it's interesting. I contend that the only time that time actually exists is now. And now can neither be harnessed. Actually, it can't even be defined in its full broadness. Although I have to say that Gene Roddenberry and the writers of Next Generation on their movie, Insurrection, did a good job on that, about the people that lived in the briar patch through the radiation that they encountered. They were able to actually stop time, but it wasn't stopping time. It was living in the now. And in the now, time in its confluences begin to have no hold. It's still time, but it's not time as perceived. Interesting thing. I think that's where we're all headed. I don't know. You can't see the future. The past. If y'all saw my radio show last night, I got into this a lot. So part of mind control is to create an illusion and make that illusion seem real. And hello there, Anna. How good to see you. So imagine this. They know how to manipulate the brain, and it's apparently something that we can do that stimulates the memory area that all we remember are the good memories. Now, if you concentrate and if you have the retention capacity, I contend we all do. Some contend that there is a limit. I don't see how that's possible, but to each his own. That when you stimulate this area of the brain, and that can be achieved by frequency. And one of the things that they have discovered, the CIA did, this document's over 30 years old. Credit to Steve, the slightly slanted sleuth, for the truth. It's a good document. It's available. I think he's made it and make it as well. I know Brian's had it on his channel as well. So the thing is that they know how to tickle our brains, tickle our fancy. And we're coming to a crisis, a crossroad, I think, for our species. We're going to talk a little bit more about this by what's advancing. I contend that we are witnessing, we are in the middle of it, of this transmutation of our species. And I think there's going to be casualties. There already are. But it's something when, that's what Hermes says to do. In fact, many of the books that are out there on wisdom, many of the religious books, Proverbs, Ecclesiastics, they speak of the fact that you have to look within, because wisdom only comes where wisdom is invited. So, delusional. Now, I've done a number of videos on this illusion that we are living in, and we are seeing the transmutation of our species. We're going into a place where I don't think it looks good. I mean, we got troubles right here in River City, folks, as they would say, and it's true. So every one of us are impacted by this. Yes, I do. When there's a trigger to the activation of your code, particularly if you're an empath, if you are at that level as an adept, if you have taken the road for the initiate, if you are a teacher, and if you have reached what I would call journeyman status. Hey, Deborah Tecker, how are you? By the way, I love that spray. I'm going to tell you and Sue, good stuff, good stuff. And why? It's soothing. It is soothing, and I like the intuition. It seems to grow. That's all I can say. So, Miles, good to see you. So, we're going to take a little trip, and we're not even going to have to do it on LSD. So let me pull up something for our discussion. Hopefully you in the chat room will participate in this as well. I know I'm about 30 seconds ahead of what's actually being broadcast, so I get the delay. So, do you know the way to San Jose? I've got, all righty. So we do the copyright disclaimer, the Fair Use Act. I am a United States citizen. I live in the United States. So Europe has gotten a little difficult on this one. Anyway, I digress. So as the picture showed, are we delusional? Now, if you want to get real serious about this, real honest, completely honest, this is more true than what it looks like. Who's walking who? Who is in the reality? Who's being let out to see the reality? It could be very well argued. We are all delusional. Listen, we lie to ourselves. Oh, we lie to ourselves. I'm reading a book right now, and listen, because of the radio show last night, I was sent a book that I'm reading. Wow. I'm going to try to get the guy on, the author. I mean, folks, I tell you how delusional we are. Every human being listening to my voice is a liar, including me. We lie on average 2.5 times a day. Some average 2.5 times an hour. We are so good at lying to ourselves. Our lying has created a delusional perception of reality. You and I interact with it. I mean, we're all swimming in the same pool. Some are in the deep end, some are not. Definition of delusion. 1, something that is falsely or delusively believed or propagated under the delusion that they will finish on schedule. Delusions of grandeur. Something that is falsely. Psychology. A persistent false psychotic belief regarding the self or persons or objects outside the self that is maintained despite indisputable evidence to the contrary. You would say the delusion that someone was out to harm himself. Also, abnormal state marked by such beliefs. Now, they put the word psychotic beliefs. There's a lot of that you could say in religion that would be defined very nicely in this. The act of tricking or deceiving someone, the state of being deluded. That word deluded means literally comes from diminished. It means to be eventually back into oblivion, baby. I don't know about you, but that freaks me out. It freaks me out in the fact that when you start really meditating on the oblivion. Now, the reason why in Franz's books that learning to control one thought, making that thought become plasticity in your vision, etc. We'll get more into that as we continue on this. But the point is, your thoughts, for the most part, come into existence by your creation, and then by your volition are cast into oblivion. They never existed. And yet, you created them. Yeah. So look at this. The synonyms and antonyms for this. And the synonym: errors, fallacy, falsehood, falsity, hallucination, illusion, misbelief, misconception, myth, old wives' tale, untruth. The antithesis is truth and verify. So look at this. I thought it was interesting when you begin to look at this. Delusion, illusion, hallucination, mirage means something that is believed to be true or real, but that is actually false or unreal. Now, there's a paradox right there in that sentence alone. So, how is something real, but is actually false, or unreal? There's a conundrum for you. Chew on that a while. It's like eating beef jerky. Delusion implies an inability to distinguish between what is real and what only seems to be real. Boy, I hear Morpheus talking all over this one. Poor Neo. Often as the result of a disordered state of mind. A disordered state of mind. Who the hell determines what a disordered state of mind is? Imagine, if you would, a being who comes into this plane and begins to hitchhike into the body. He begins to see that this plane of reality is all a delusion. You see, you can begin to really carry this forward. What is a disordered state of mind? What is a disordered state of consciousness? Delusions of persecution. Illusion implies a false ascribing of reality based on what one sees or imagines. I have a simple question. Isn't that how we see everything anyway? Do we not see images? This gets really, how shall we say, tacky, sticky. Hallucination implies impressions that are the product of disordered senses, as because of mental illness or drugs, suffered from terrifying hallucinations. Folks, I've been there. In the numerous trips I have taken, I never saw anything that freaked me out. I mean, folks, I have seen walking down the sidewalk, and all of a sudden, everything turns into paisleys, and the ground is actually vibrating and moving. And as it moves, it's creating flows of color, sounds. A car can come by, and the car is literally stopped, and you see it in individual frames, and you can actually see them. So when I see this, okay, I was very much aware it was an hallucination. But it says here it's, because of mental illness or drugs. So I guess they're not implying that drugs are mental illness. Who knows? Mirage, in its extended sense, applies to an illusionary vision, dream, hope, or aim. Claimed a balanced budget is a mirage. So I put all this because every one of us would be in this classification. Weird. So here's what I want to show. Yeah, I know this is gross, but this is an actual brain that has just been taken from the host. But in reality, this is you and I. Right there. Nothing else is real but that. This organ. You've got one. I've got one. Seems like plants, animals, they have one. You could take a look at this and say that this is the interface. This is the device that's required for this existence. This is an actual living brain in a brain surgery. Now, what you're going to see here in a second is probably going to shock you. The person being operated on is playing a guitar, has no pain at all. The brain cannot feel pain, but yet it is the pain sensory broadcaster. People who have in wars, accidents, have lost limbs. Most of them, when they become fully cognitive, aware of what has taken place, will tell you they suffer from phantom pain. The brain still believes that foot is there, and it's going to hurt. Odd, isn't it? So everything that's going on in that operating room is only perceived because of the receptor. So what is this? I mean, seriously. Give me a second here. When you see this, it just becomes so weird. So we're living in a time that, well, it's getting more strange. I was going to pull some stuff up, but actually what I'm going to do is get out of that so I can get back in here. So it's odd, because once that brain stops, you stop here. And now you begin to understand why mind control has been ever present, I think, from the very get-go. They had to use mind control on us. But the problem is there's more and more empaths being born. There's more and more adapts coming through. There's more masters who have taken on the challenge. And it's changed. Back in my very early days, I was a member of the Painters Union. I was a drywall finisher. And I had to go through the apprenticeship program. Then I became a journeyman. And then I got to the point where I was classified a master. Got bored with it. But I have to say, in those times of my boredom, many other things were going on. But the point is, think about it. And as we begin to wake up, I had a person write me. And I'm not disclosing anything personal. He's from Brazil. We have a lot of listeners from Brazil. Hello, Brazil. A lot of Portuguese-speaking people, and they love it. They're contributing to our group, and they're learning. And, well, we got people all over the world. But anyway, I digress on this. You can get like that sometimes. But the point becomes it's changing. We're becoming aware of, I think, the spatialness of time and space. I think it's also good evidence that they screwed something up. Now, I'm convinced of that. I think someone messed up the time-space continuum. Someone screwed up. They let the mice out. And so when I look at delusion, I don't know. I think that could be almost defining reality, wouldn't you say? I think so. I don't know. Well, let me see what's going on in the chat room here. I love this. Sometimes when I go in the chat room, I'm going, am I in a different reality here? It's like, I ain't okay. Well, maybe it is. You know, it takes on. Hey, Gerard, how are you doing? Good to see you. Anyway, I think it's what's happening all around us, and maybe that's what the experience is here. Oh, and as the gentleman said, he says, I'm 66. And he says, I'm becoming aware. I said, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter what your, hey, Shannon, how are you? Doesn't matter what your, Roman, good to see you. Doesn't matter what age you are. Now, I think I was probably too much of a rebel, but I say that, but that element of who I was led me to experience a vision quest, allowed me to see the native people, how they reached into their spirit. My LSD hallucinogenic period, as I look back on it now, was, and as it has been explained to me by a very kind individual has a PhD and would know what she's talking about. It was actually, for my case, the best way to put it was I was putting my spirit through a hyperactivation. You don't go into those kind of things and come out unless there was truly a purpose for it. Now, like I said, I saw a lot of people that they came in uninvited and their demons kicked their ass. Yeah. I mean, I've been there. I know when you get into that as I understand, as I see it now, when you look back, you experience anyone who's taken LSD or mescaline or peyote, psilocybin. They're finding now so many uses for psilocybin. Microdosing psilocybin actually makes you a better problem solver. Microdosing of psilocybin is also shown to be highly successful in alleviating stress, particularly of PSD. So think about this. For myself, I mean, my brain was 16 years old, 16, 17. And for me, it was an adventure. And when my time is up here, I mean, I'm ready. I really am looking forward to seeing what that next dimension is going to look like. I contend, and it's my belief, everyone has their own, but I came here for a purpose. That purpose is being fulfilled. And when that purpose is fulfilled, I'll be like Mr. Megorium with my last pair of shoes, you know? So, yeah, go figure. That's how it be. And I hope it's for you as well. Someone wrote me and said, how do you know all these things? Well, primarily I lived them. You know, when you live them, it takes on a whole different meaning. Your theory suddenly becomes practicality. And, you know, that's why I try to inspire you. My gift is edification, edifying you. There's many others, but that's my gift, along with other gifts. But I realize something. Each and every one of us, the enormity of the unrecognized potential that exists within us. It's beyond words. It may, in fact, be beyond this plane. I lived for decades under a belief system that is such duality, duplicit in the way that it's constructed, and it is mind control. Religion is mind control. Oddly enough, as we say this, my wife pointed out on young Sheldon. I thought it was really interesting. Thank you, Patrick. We're going to get Patrick, Lois on here next Friday. We're going to raise some money for her. But anyway, on young Sheldon, if you got it, go check it out. He brought out a very poignant, whoever the writer was, did very well. Young Sheldon said, because his mother is very religious, and you have to see it in the context, but he said, all religion is nothing more than mind control. They develop a punishment in order to allow the individual to do the very act of becoming controlled. That's freaking brilliant. I mean, come on. Taurus, thank you. I haven't said to you, may it be returned back to you 100-fold. And not in just money. Who knows, maybe you're looking for a promotion. Maybe there's something you're not going to expect, but I just see something very good coming to you. And it's so true. The thing about it was, I had the Stockholm syndrome, but it was with me. That's what's weird. That's what it is with all of us. You get instructed into this, and first of all, the bait is, all are welcomed. All is forgotten and forgiven. You have a new path. And man, like most, I dug that. All right. Roman D, thank you. Yes, sir. You are absolutely. Thank you, my friend. That you think this is pretty far out. I mean, we're all looking for that. I mean, we live in a delusion and an illusion of such cruelty. Someone made a comment. Yeah, he says, what a place to live in, where you got to eat something, dead or alive, in order to survive. You can't argue with that kind of common sense. It's messed up, man. It's messed up. I agree. And then you get into this thing where once you buy it, and you buy it, man. You buy it because, once you release your faith, what you don't realize in alchemy, folks, that's an elixir that has never been able to be bottled. But yet, if one can control and manipulate, it's the strongest potion of all. With one's faith, you can live as a king. You can have an army. But I digress. So you start walking down the path, and then they drop the bomb on you. Well, now you remember that hell place we talked about when you signed up, when you became an initiate. Yeah, the one I'm not going to go to, right? Well, maybe not. What do you mean, maybe not? Well, there are conditions. Well, wait a minute. I thought you told me the dude paid the price for admission. Well, yeah, he did, but you have to pay rent. Why? Well, because you're not good enough. Now, you still have this terrible thing, this disease called sin, and there you see? And now I've become my own guard. Because I got that rooster syndrome. By God, I know who God is. I know my Bible. I can use my Bible like a sword. It's sharper than any edged sword that's out there. I'm going to be the defender of the faith. The real me inside is going, what just happened here? And when you break out of that prison, the thing about it is one freaking battle, folks, because you're battling the guard that you created by the institution that you aligned yourself with. And some people find that the guard is way too strong and they retreat. They almost got free. Almost. They couldn't handle it. Then there are those of us who are here. We find ourselves at all stages of life, all different walks in life, all coming to the same inevitable conclusion. They lied to us. But the thing is, the real reality, folks, is that we lied to ourselves because it felt good. You know, I saw people, women in church services that, well, they were possessed of something. Seen it firsthand, witnessed it. What's going on here? Once you understand the techniques, their magic no longer has any power over you. And that's what they fear the most. That's what our government fears the most. In fact, that's what the gods fear the most. Because we are the gods. We're the new gods. For many of us, if there's a recycleness to this, this is the last time through. I happen to think that many of us took this journey, this challenge. I get the impression in my spirit more and more that I knew exactly what I was signing up for. The only one is going to judge you is yourself. When you step through the veil, you're going to have the reunification of yourself. Because there's no one else qualified to judge you. There's no one else that could judge you. None. That's the difference. So, there we go. Think about these things. There's freedom. There's an orientation period because your equilibrium is off. What we haven't realized is that through one dictator of another, we have served other gods, other ideas, other preceptors. And our equilibrium, and then the thing about it is, it's so gradual that when it reaches state, you're no longer aware of it. And if you're fortunate enough to be those that I think are the chosen, I mean, listen, you can say chosen, you can say remnant, you can say whatever it is, that become aware, you suddenly realize how unbalanced you are. And it's a struggle. Quite frankly, in my vernacular, it's a pain in the ass, but that's just me. Yeah, Michelle, I agree with you. Boiling frogs, that's exactly what we are. In fact, what we're asking for is, come on in, water's fine. We're going to have frog legs tonight. Watching Robert Tilton on LSD. Well, Seven Serpents, I got to tell you what, my friend, I don't know if you're male or female, but hats off to you, buddy, or madam. Either way, that would have been that's truly mind coitus right there. That's a heavy dose of coitus. I love you folks, man. Y'all are just some far out people. There's no doubt about it. Oh my goodness. All right, folks. Listen, we're going to have a good time tonight. I think this is going to be, I'm really looking forward to this as I've read more and more of Chance's background in his family history. Yeah, this is tastes like chicken. We all taste like chicken. That's exactly it. So tune in. It's going to be, I think something, there's one part of this, folks. Wow. That's all I'm going to tell you. I want to talk also to the gentleman that sent the pictures from Brazil. When Dr. Albers and I get on Monday night, we're going to look at those. Wow. And, there's things going on, folks. There's no doubt about it. It's really getting spacey out there. I got freaking huge I don't know. I don't think you can call it a meteorite. It looks to me like it was a freaking asteroid that hit the moon. And as my neighbor, as I was talking to this morning, we were talking about it, and he says, what really, he says, and he's a cool dude. And he said, to think that could have hit us. I said, yeah, this one's getting really close to home on this one. So yeah, we got to step up the game, folks. I was watching Jeff Doherty, and he was right. A lot of you all need to start your own channels. You've got things, you're brilliant people. You are some of the best people. You complement each other. The respect, the gentleness, the favor that this group produces, it's catching. Be catching, man. Wildfire, moving through. And I'm digging it. Other people are digging it too. So, if you got channels, get them started. I'll have you on. We can have delightful conversations. If any of you ever want to come on, I don't have a problem. We can easily come up, and if you got something you like to say, hey, we'll say it. We'll say it proud. We'll say it loud. And we'll all learn from it. It's the best way. It's a great medium. And we should treat it just exactly like that. We can invoke in this medium an influence of protection. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate it, buddy. And if we could just get our act together and all come together and we all meditate, we don't even have to do anything visually. We just all come in with the same intent. We're going to form, I look at it like this. Look at this as a wormhole. Okay. And best place to look at that image is go to SG1, Stargate, and their image of what a wormhole looks like. So this is what we're in. Now, our energy can begin to encase this medium, and it becomes a buffer zone. And while we're in it, we can begin to grow and collectively become stronger. And we'll resonate with others. Others will join. And with that, we can bring in other wormholes. Each one will take us to a different time and dimension, a place we call the Twilight Zone. No, anyway. Anyway. All right, folks, I'll see you tonight at 7 o'clock Mountain Time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific, and it's 5 o'clock somewhere. All right, folks, thank you all, moderators, all the best of you. You guys are the best. Thank you for everyone who has been participating, all of you watching, all in the chat room. Thank you. It's far out. It really is. I enjoy it. Time of my life. All right, folks, see you in a little bit. Have a great afternoon or whatever time it may be in your reality. All right, bye-bye.